It is Tuesday, June 3rd.
This is The Warning.
There is a question that will have to be settled in the United States of America by the American people, and it goes to the heart of an existential matter. What type of country will we tolerate living in? Will the American people tolerate this? The citizens of South Park, San Diego did not. Why are these men outfitted like they're rolling into Kandahar after Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or some high-ranking al-Qaeda terrorist when they're going to a restaurant in the middle of the day in San Diego for a law enforcement action? There's something that has to be talked about directly. Law enforcement is a vital function, and it's an honorable profession. But what we're seeing here are the dregs of the law enforcement barrel. Its very bottom. These are jackbooted government thugs. These are American Gestapo or Stasi. These are men, mostly, who need to be reminded that they will be unmasked, they will be seen, and they will be accountable, and that just following orders won't cut it. The Department of Homeland Security has become a leviathan and a monstrosity. And this is unacceptable in a free society. A government of the people, by the people, for the people. The masks are outrageous. The M4s are outrageous. These men are dressed for war. War against the American people, obviously. We now stand 11 days away from the greatest desecration of the armed forces in the entire history of the country. They're yoking to Donald Trump's ego and to the celebration of his birthday. A $100 million spectacle which will destroy the roads and embarrass every unit that is compelled to take part in it. The celebration of a felon, the celebration of a narcissist, the celebration of an unfit commander-in-chief, America's most prolific liar, our greatest egotist, who is decomposing and unraveling in plain sight in front of all of our eyes as he makes threat after threat after threat against the Congress, against the judiciary, against American citizens, against Taylor Swift, against Bruce Springsteen, against Canada, against England, against France, against Germany, against Ukraine, against Zelensky. The list goes on and on and on. Everywhere, every day, there is a plot, but the show rolls on. And it is a fascist snuff film being choreographed and directed by Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem. And this is their cosplaying actors, federal law enforcement reduced to thuggery, dressed for war in San Diego and in cities across the country. And yet, where is the denunciation from the floor of the Democratic Senate? Where is the retired law enforcement community in the United States who says, these are not lawmen, these are government thugs? Where are the people who will assert in the United States that we must be free from intimidation by the government? And that's what this is. This is about spreading terror and fear into communities across America to suggest that if you say the wrong thing, think the wrong thing, blink the wrong thing, you might wind up in chains when you're crossing an American border. There are announcements taking place that are deeply disturbing, and nobody, it seems, in America's corrupt corporate media is paying much attention to them. For example, the accumulation and consolidation of data on every free citizen in the United States by their government, directing a contractor, Palantir, a company formed by the CIA Venture Capital Fund that now has become an instrument of Trump's menacing, fascistic, nascent surveillance state. that seems to be coming to life in real time, hour by hour, and at the tip of the spear is Nome's Gestapo. What are we to think about the coast-playing Homeland Security director who stood in front of an El Salvadoran concentration camp wearing a $50,000 Rolex, who has no idea what habeas corpus is, but lives to please Trump, who travels openly on the taxpayer dime with her disordered boyfriend, according to news reports, who's had many law enforcement run-ins, who now directs what? America's Stasi, the masked federal agent that could roll into any town, any community, any village square with their long guns out to spread fear and terror amongst a free population. What the people in South Park said was, don't tread on us. And it was important when they did it. And those people, in many regards, are no different than the passengers on United Flight 93 who took that plane back from the terrorists. They came together spontaneously in a moment, in an instant, to do the right thing, as these people did. And look at these federal goons back up and back away. But what was that agent thinking? Did he want to point that weapon? Did he want to open fire? Did somebody tell him later in the day that it was okay, he would be pardoned by Trump? Let me ask a question. How long do we suppose it will be before the pardoned thugs of January 6th march somewhere and inflict violence, attack people, believing they have a get-out-of-jail card, believing they're Trump's SA, his militia, assigned by Providence to protect the MAGA regime? That's what Trump has told them. He's told them he's on a mission from God. He's told them in the past to stand back and be ready. Who is behind the masks? There are generations of police officers who have walked tough beats in Chicago, in New York, and they did not hide behind masks. Cowards hide behind masks. And what we're seeing is cowardice. What we're seeing is malice. What we're seeing is a militarization of federal law enforcement, and it's being turned loose against the American citizen. It's unacceptable, and it should be denounced from coast to coast, in every state capital in the country, at every town meeting, at every town hall where a member of Congress speaks out. There should be a demand that this outrage in this era of corruption is brought to heel. It is not okay. It is not patriotic. It is not American. This is the face of fascism. And it has come to America as long ago predicted, wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. And those people, Trump's henchmen and women, bedecked with their little crosses, their gleaming zealot eyes, who send these masked men into America's communities, are agents of tyranny, and their acts are evil, and this conduct is wrong, and it will be held to account. And every one of these officers should understand what their obligations are with regard to illegal and immoral orders. Every one of them should understand that there will be a day, and it will come sooner than they believe, where they will be asked about their participation in enforcement raids where they carried long rifles and masks into restaurants at lunch. These men didn't face danger in a restaurant in San Diego. A handgun would have sufficed on their hip. A jacket identifying them as a federal agent. That's not what happened. This is tyranny in America in 2025. And the reason for it is because Donald Trump, he's a fascist. And that fascism has been appeased. And like before, it has risen in America, not because it was strong or powerful or potent as an ideology. In fact, it was absurd and it was disdained. It rose because democracy was weak and rotten and corrupt. And it's up to all of us to demand reform and renewal and better. But it starts with a demand that Democratic Party leaders denounce this full-throatedly, absolutely, and directly, and speak to the urgent necessity in this country that this grotesque federal police force be defanged, be defenestrated, and ultimately be abolished. What was began because we were told the country was under threat has become the threat to liberty. And if you don't understand that from these pictures, then may I suggest that ignorance is no blessing for you in a moment of crisis, and that you should read more and learn more, because what you're looking at is as plain and clear as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. It does not need interpretation. It does not need explication. It is, and it's dangerous, and it's immoral, and it's un-American. This is The Warning.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.